Good morning. Welcome to your daily solo 401k webinar Q&A session with my solo 401k financial. Here we try to help you stop overpaying taxes and start creating real sound retirement wealth. So hopefully after listening to today's webinar, you'll be able to put it to use and maybe it'll help you save on taxes now or in the future. Today's topic is Fidelity Institutional Advisors. So we get a lot of clients through institutional advisors. So financial advisors through Fidelity Institutional, even through Altruist, which is another big brokerage firm, and even Charles Schwab Institutional. And we've put on webinars surrounding those other brokerage firms in the past. So today we're going to hone in on Fidelity Institutional Advisors because that's one of the most popular ones that we come across. We've been in business since 2009, so we've worked with a lot of advisors throughout the years at different brokerages, even LPL advisors, Edward Jones advisors. Really, we work with all advisors in the space. The majority of our business is actually on the institutional side. Of course, we also have a large book of business on the retail side. And we find that many institutional advisors like to use my solo 401k financial for their clients' solo 401k plan needs for a variety of reasons, which we're going to delve deeper into today. So this is your chance to get answers. So go ahead and use the chat, type them over. You can ask questions. You don't have to be an advisor. You can be a retail investor or anyone who's looking to learn about solo 401k plans. Go ahead and type those questions over and we'll answer those questions as they come in. Looks like we have a question here. Let's take a look at that. When opening a bank account at Fidelity and they ask about the EIN, is that obtained when you open your 401k trust? Do I locate that number that you all obtain? I'm trying to figure it out. Great question. So when you're opening the non-prototype brokerage account at Fidelity Investments for a solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial, that can be opened online through Fidelity. That is the actual brokerage accounts for the plan that we offer. And we'll provide you with that EIN number. If we do not provide you with that EIN number for the solo 401k, go ahead and send us an email to the account's email box, and we'll go ahead and get that EIN number to you ASAP. But the EIN number, for those who are not aware of an EIN number, that's for a solo 401k, because a solo 401k is a retirement trust. Therefore, it's a separate legal entity requiring its own employer identification number. You don't use your business EIN or your social, but rather the employer identification number for the solo 401k, also known as a retirement trust. Can we ask general questions not having to do with Fidelity? You certainly can. You can ask any type of question you want today surrounding solo 401k plans and even IRAs for that matter. We're well versed on self-directed IRAs as well. So even though today's topic is Fidelity Institutional Advisors, how to open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 and still make contributions for tax year 2025. But we'll go ahead and get started, and then we'll go ahead and get going on that. You did email us and waiting for a response. Got it. Go ahead and send an email to me directly, and I'll go ahead and get that over to you. You can send it to Mark at mysolo401k.net. I know we've been slammed because of the end of the year rush. We actually had a record-breaking month of December where our business went up over 50% year over year regarding opening new plans. Now that the self-employed community is discovering solo 401k plans, and a lot of institutional advisors are also beginning to understand how a solo 401k is much more advantageous over other retirement plans like simple IRAs and SEP IRAs for the self-employed. So we've been trying to clear up that backlog from the end of December, so thanks for your patience. Okay, so we'll continue here. We'll come back and look at these questions here in a moment. In the meantime, let's get started here, and then we'll come back and look at some more questions here and answer them. So if you're a self-employed professional or a solopreneur who wants the biggest retirement tax breaks, you are at the right place, especially if you're an institutional advisor, especially over at Fidelity. Because today we're going to break down how to open a solo 401k at Fidelity Institutional on the institutional side if you're an advisor, so you can open it for your client. And you're going to be able to do that here in 2026 and we're going to show you how to make contributions that still count for tax year 2025 here in 2026 when you open that solo 401k plan for your client here in 2026 so that you can make tax year 2025 contributions. So we're going to unpack all that. So why an advisor builds solo 401k? Well, a solo 401k is designed for the self-employed, owner-only businesses that do not employ any non-owner, full-time W-2 employees who work 1,000 hours or more, and any business under the control of that solopreneur. So as long as you don't employ any non-owner, full-time W-2 employees in your business, you can open a solo 401k plan. You can always exclude contractors. So if your business hires 1099 contractors, you can still open a solo 401k plan regardless of how many hours they work. You can always exclude anyone who's under age 21 regardless if they're a W-2 employee or not and how many hours they work. So why Fidelity Institutional Advisors? Well, Fidelity Investments on the institutional side, they've been providing brokerage accounts for solo 401k plans offered by solo 401k providers like my solo 401k Financial for many decades. For example, we've been in business since 2009 and we've been helping our clients not only open up non-prototype brokerage accounts at Fidelity on the retail side, but for institutional advisors on the Fidelity institutional side. And you're still going to be able to invest your solo 401k funds and equities, and you can even invest in alternative investments like private equity, to name a few. And your advisor will be the one supporting you with regards to the investment advice, because here at my solo 401k Financial, we don't offer investments, nor do we offer investment advice. But we do support the institutional advisors, whether they're a Fidelity Institutional Advisor, Schwab Institutional Advisor, Altruis Institutional Advisor, any other broker-dealer. We do support them on the solo 401k side with regards to offering a solo 401k plan that has all the features that most traditional solo 401k providers don't offer, such as the ability to make voluntary after-tax contributions, perform the mega backdoor Roth, process solo 401k participant loans. It's got the auto contribution credit built into it, and even self-directed into alternative investments. And we'll take care of here in my solo 401k Financial will be the plan document provider and the compliance provider, such as reporting any type of distribution conversions on Form 1099-R, as well as Form 5500 easy reporting once the market value of that plan is greater than $250,000. And we'll perform that reporting upon your request, along with the client's request. All right, let's take a look at a question here, and then we'll come back here. Do I understand correctly that we can open a bank account and a brokerage account? You can make your contributions into the bank account and then later move into a brokerage account. So great question. So yes, let me provide you with the link. So the answer is yes, you can have what's referred to as multiple holding accounts for a solo 401k offered by my solo 401k Financial, which translates to having not only bank accounts for the solo 401k, but also brokerage accounts for the solo 401k. It's still going to be considered one solo 401k plan. It's just that you're going to have multiple holding accounts. So bank accounts and brokerage accounts. And let me dig up a link on that so you can read up on that. Here's a good link here, and I'll shed some more light on that. So it'll be considered just one plan with separate uh, with multiple holding accounts. So you can make contributions to the bank accounts or the brokerage accounts. It's still considered one plan. You can also move funds between the bank and the brokerage accounts. It's not considered a reportable event or a taxable event because you're not transferring funds from one plan to another. You're moving funds within the plan to the bank, to the brokerage account, and vice versa. So there's no reporting that involves. And just for those of you who are not used to this type of concept, when you open a solo 401k with my solo 401k financial, you get to choose where to hold the money at. It's your plan. It's your retirement account. So the way we view it is that we don't want to put restrictions as to where you want to hold your funds at. That's one of the main reasons we're so different from our competitors, is that many of our competitors are in bad, or they have a relationship with the bank or brokerage firm and they're getting kickbacks. Not here with my solo 401k financial. We don't get any type of kickback from anybody. So even though we've been probably sending business to Fidelity on the retail side and institutional side for over 15 years now, so we've probably opened up easily over 10,000 accounts at Fidelity. We've never received one dime or a kickback. So when you utilize my solo 401k financial, we're neutral as to where you want to hold your funds at. It's your money. Again, therefore, you get to choose where to hold the money at. And we're here to be the plan document provider, which means we take care of the IRS required plan updates, amendments, and we'll provide ongoing compliance support, educational support as well at no additional cost. That's all covered in our very low fee of $125 a year. Where else can you get this type of service of $125 a year, where we'll handle the plan updates and reporting for the plan at no additional cost? I mean, that's unheard of in this day and age, especially. I know many of our competitors are charging over $350 a year. Some are charging over $1,200 a year just to perform the 5,500 easy reporting. Let's see if we have some more questions here. Here's a question. Follow-up question, looking for the best bank interest rate. It seems the business accounts are always lower than personal. I'm assuming we need to open a business account. Great question. So when you open the solo 401k bank account, we'll go ahead and provide you with the banking guide, and we'll put together the solo 401k packet so that you can present that to the banker. We'll even speak to the banker if he or she has any questions. We can schedule a call. And I'm going to send you a banking guide here over the live webinar to review, and then I'll continue answering your question on that front. Give me a moment here. If I can locate it here. But as I'm digging this up, the bank account for the solo 401k is it doesn't matter whether it's a personal bank account or a business bank account. What does that mean? That means that it needs to be titled in the name of the solo 401k plan. That's the bank account. So as long as that bank account is titled in the name of the solo 401k, and the bank or credit union uses the EIN number for the plan for reporting purposes. So you want to make sure that they're using the EIN number, not for the solo 401k, which again is a retirement trust, not the EIN for your business when they open up that bank account. So it needs to be titled in the name of the solo 401k, and the bank needs to use the EIN number for the solo 401k. Give me a moment here if I can locate that bank account guide. So we've seen many clients open up the bank accounts. It just depends on the bank, on their process and procedure. I've seen many of the solo 401k bank accounts being opened up under a personal bank account, and also on the business bank account. I've even seen the bank open it up under a trust umbrella account. And that's all fine, because again, what matters at the end of the day is that's open up in the name of the solo 401k plan, and that they use the EIN number of the solo 401k for reporting on the bank side. So let me share this link here with you. Now, keep in mind that Fidelity Investments and Charles Schwab, a lot of people don't know this, they also provide CDs. You can invest in CDs through the non-prototype brokerage accounts at Fidelity or Schwab that we would help you to open up on the retail side, for example. And let me send you a link on that. They offer thousands of CDs, so you can find the best CD rate. They both have money markets too. So in their money markets, I think sometimes they pay over 3.5%. Now with interest rates going lower, it might be down to maybe 3% or 3.5%. That's still a pretty good interest when you compare it to other banks. But let me see if I can share a link regarding a CD. So take a look at this link here. But yeah, you can also invest when you open up brokerage accounts at Fidelity or Schwab. Here's one at Fidelity. I'm searching our website under this. There's a search tab on the top right-hand corner of our website where you can search by various keywords. But yeah, you can invest in many CDs. I mean, you've got thousands of available CDs through those Fidelity non-prototype brokerage accounts or Schwab Company retirement brokerage accounts for a solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial. So again, the bank account is for the solo 401k. You can open up just a brokerage account for the solo 401k, or you can just open up a bank account, or you can open up both. We find that clients like to open up bank accounts for a solo 401k instead of a brokerage account under very limited circumstances, such as if they want to invest in properties, physical properties at auction, where they need to get a cashier's check so they can go make that investment, that real estate property investment at the auction by presenting that cashier's check. The Fidelity brokerage accounts or the Schwab institutional brokerage accounts or retail brokerage accounts don't provide cashier's checks. Also, if you want to invest in tax liens, you're going to need to have that bank account so you get a cashier's check. But keep in mind that both the Fidelity brokerage accounts, Schwab brokerage accounts, because the plan is offered by my solo 401k financial, those can also be invested in physical real estate. And we have procedures on our website on how to do that. Because the plan falls under our purview, not Fidelity or Schwab or the bank. They're just holding the funds. So you're not opening a solo 401k with the bank, with Fidelity, Schwab, or anyone else. You're opening up that solo 401k with my solo 401k financial, because it's the legal plan documents, not the actual holding account, that determines whether or not you have a solo 401k. The bank and brokerage accounts serve to hold the funds, because you can't hold the funds under your mattress, and we're not a depository taking institution. We don't want to be a depository taking institution, because we do what we do best, and that is be a solo 401k plan document provider and handle compliance reporting upon your timely requests. Okay, let's keep going here, and then we'll go take a look at some more questions here. Let's see here. Let's take a look at here. Give me a moment here. So, again, we'll come back and look at some more questions here in a moment. But go ahead and keep typing them over, and we'll come back and knock some more of those out. So, with my solo 401k financial, you can also utilize Fidelity investments on the institutional side or retail side. Today, we're talking about the institutional side because we're gearing today's presentation more towards Fidelity Institutional Advisors. So my solo 401k financial provides the solo 401k plan documents. Fidelity Institutional will hold the solo 401k funds, and as the advisor, you and your client will be the only ones that have access to your funds. Here with my solo 401k financial, we never have access to our clients' funds, and we don't need to have access to our clients' funds to do what we need to do. So as the Fidelity Institutional Advisor, we will use Fidelity Institutional to hold the funds. If your client has an existing solo 401k at Fidelity on the retail side or the institutional side, that existing Fidelity solo 401k can be updated through a restatement to a self-directed solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial, and we can help you to use Fidelity Institutional to hold the client's funds and transfer that existing Fidelity solo 401k, including the equities internally, to the new institutional Fidelity brokerage accounts for the solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial. That's a mouthful. So why my solo 401k financial? Well, quite simple. Number one, we've been around since 2009. Number two, we've opened up over 30,000 accounts. We provide custom IRS compliance support as well as custom plans. Our plan can be utilized with any brokerage firm on the institutional side or retail side. We also support advanced strategies such as employer Roth solo 401k contributions, voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions as part of the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. It allows for in-plan conversions. We also take care of reporting. It also has the $1,500 auto contribution credit built into it. You can also invest in private equity. I know private equity seems to be the rage right now regarding investing 401ks into. I know Donald Trump issued an executive order last year regarding how 401ks can invest in private investments. Well, our solo 401k clients have been investing in private equity since 2009 through their solo 401ks, so we don't need an executive order for them to be able to invest in private equity. So for 2025, the contribution limits are $70,000, and you can actually open a solo 401k plan for your client here in 2026 and make tax year 2025 contributions. You'll be able to make employee contributions for 2025 if you open a plan for your client here in 2026 if their business is taxed as a sole proprietorship. You have until April 15 of 2026 to actually open up that solo 401k plan here in 2026 so that you can make tax year 2025 employee contributions, but that's only applicable to a sole proprietorship, self-employed business. You're going to be able to make employer contributions and voluntary after-tax contributions here in 2026 for tax year 2025 if you open that solo 401k plan here in 2026 by the business tax return due date plus timely filed extension. And then you can also perform the Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k strategy. So you want to be aware of those deadlines. Don't assume that Fidelity Investments institutional or the retail side allows for the Mega Backdoor Roth, because they don't. And you got to make sure that the accounts are labeled correctly. We'll talk more about that. So again, the key strategy overview here is that you can still open a solo 401k plan in 2026, and you can fund it for tax year 2025 for certain contribution types, which we're going to keep on unpacking here. Now, this works because of Secure Act 2.0 changed the regulations regarding when plans can be adopted. So the IRS regulations allow a solo 401k plan to be adopted by the business tax return due date plus timely filed extension. And you're going to be able to make certain types of contributions for the prior year. And it's all driven by your entity type. Before we start talking about the Mega Backdoor Roth, let's see if we have some more questions here. You have to pardon me here. I've been battling the flu here, so. So okay, let's take a look at some questions here. Here's a question here. Give me a moment here, please. Okay, thank you. Thanks for all you do in supporting entrepreneurs. I'm very concerned about privacy security. Do you provide instructions if I prefer to open my own accounts and arrange for my own transfers? Certainly. Keep in mind that we're never going to have access to your funds. But yes, We can certainly provide you with instructions on how to open up bank or brokerage accounts. As a matter of fact, if you want to use Fidelity Investments to open up the brokerage accounts, we'll provide you with instructions on how to open up those brokerage accounts online with Fidelity. So you can certainly process your own transfer. Go ahead and send us an email. We'll go ahead and send you instructions on how to do that. We can always fill out the transfer form for you, which is typically what we do for our clients. And then ultimately you would sign and you would submit that to the institution to transfer those funds. So at that time, you'll be able to enter your personal information. So keep in mind that here in my solo 401k financial, we don't have access to your funds. We don't hold your funds. So that's why we're so popular, because we don't need to hold on to your funds to help you keep your plan in compliance and provide compliance support. Okay. Oh, here's a question. I'm particularly interested in what particular paperwork I need to file with E-Trade to transfer existing discount solo from E-Trade to new custodial account. Well, it doesn't sound like you have an account with E-Trade. It sounds like you have a solo 401k with another provider and you're using E-Trade to hold the money. So that's number one. So E-Trade is not the solo 401k provider. They're just holding the money. So you're going to want to ask E-Trade what they need to just move those funds out of there, because they're not the provider. And then you can move the funds from there directly to the new bank or brokerage account for the solo 401k. But send us an email and we can shed some more light on that. But it doesn't sound like you have a solo 401k with E-Trade. So that's a big difference there. You have it with some other firm that actually, that company you're mentioning, there's my understanding that they're no longer in business either. But I know that E-Trade, if you use E-Trade to hold the funds, you did not open a solo 401k with E-Trade. You opened it up with that other institution there you're referencing there that's no longer in business. Okay, let's see here. But again, send us an email and we'll take a look at it and shed light on that. Here's another question here. I have an S Corp. If I'm only interested in investing with the brokerage accounts, Fidelity or Schwab, do I need to open solo 401k bank accounts? No, you don't. Most of our clients don't open up solo 401k bank accounts. They open up brokerage accounts instead, because the brokerage account is one-stop shop, meaning you're going to be able to not only invest in equities, CDs, money markets, but also in alternative investments like private equity and real estate. So under very limited circumstances do we see our clients open up bank accounts for their solo 401k. Do I need to open up solo 401k bank accounts to transfer funds to the solo 401k brokerage account? No, you don't. I know that some institutions out there, some solo 401k providers, make you open up a bank account with the bank that they're getting kickbacks from, and that's probably why they do that, because they're getting some type of kickback for opening up that bank account. And then they say, well, if you also want to open up a brokerage account, you're also going to have to open up a brokerage account, but you're going to have to fund that brokerage account with funds from the solo 401k bank account. A couple of our main competitors utilize that unfair trick, in my opinion. So no, you don't need to open up bank accounts if you don't need them. When you make contributions to the solo 401k, even if you open up a bank account and a brokerage account, you can make contributions to the solo 401k, which would flow from your self-employment income. So you would make it directly to the solo 401k bank or the brokerage account. So yeah, if you're self-employed, business is taxed as an S corporation, you can make the contribution directly from your S corporation bank account into the solo 401k brokerage account. What is more, if you use Fidelity Investments for the non-prototype brokerage accounts offered by my solo 401k financial, you're going to be able to link your business bank account to that Fidelity brokerage account, and you're going to do that on your bank account side. On your business bank account side, you'll be able to link that to the Fidelity brokerage accounts. so that you can make the contributions electronically via ACH. Let me send you a link on how that works for your knowledge. But you would actually set that up on your bank, on your S Corporation bank account side. And you would link that business bank account to that Fidelity brokerage account, for example, for the solo 401k. There's a link there that talks about that. Take a look at that. Okay, let's go over some more webinar slides here, and then we'll come back and continue answering some questions here. So many Fidelity institutional advisors like to use my solo 401k financial as the plan document provider, because the solo 401k for my solo 401k financial allows for voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions as part of the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. So what is the Mega Backdoor? Well, the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy is where you make contributions to the solo 401k plan on the voluntary after-tax side, and then you turn around and convert those funds over to the Roth solo 401k or to the Roth IRA. So not all solo 401k plans out there allow for the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. For example, even though Fidelity Investments and Charles Schwab offer their own solo 401k, they do not allow for the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy, but they do provide what they refer to as non-prototype brokerage accounts for a solo 401k offered by my solo 401k financial, as well as other providers that does allow for the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. And that's how you're able to do the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy, is because a plan for my solo 401k financial is the one that allows for it. Here's an example of the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy. There's an example of a one participant plan. Let's say your self-employed business is taxed as an S corporation. We would help you. So the plan would be sponsored by your S corporation. So it's just one plan. It'll have its own employer identification number, because again, a solo 401k, just like all 401ks, is a retirement trust. We would help you to open up 3 separate brokerage accounts. If it's on the Fidelity institutional side, we would draft these 3 sets of Fidelity institutional brokerage forms for the advisor. We'll pre-fill them out. So you're going to have 3 sets. One for the pre-tax solo 401k funds, a second for the Roth solo 401k funds, and the third one for the voluntary after-tax solo 401k funds. So it's not 3 separate solo 401k plans. I know oftentimes in the industry we like to say Roth solo 401k, Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k, but really it's just considered one plan that has separate holding accounts, aka brokerage accounts, to hold those respective fund sources. So we would pre-fill out these 3 sets of Fidelity institutional brokerage forms for the advisor. The advisor would then have the client sign them, and then the advisor would go ahead and submit those institutional brokerage forms through their back channel directly to Fidelity. Once Fidelity Institutional opens up those brokerage accounts, they'll send the advisor and the client an email. They're not going to email us, because we're not the financial advisor, nor the depository taking institution, or the client. So they'll go ahead and email the advisor and his or her client regarding that the brokerage accounts are ready and that they're ready to be funded. And then once they're ready to be funded, the advisor can come back and circle back and contact us, and we'll help you calculate contributions, such as the maximum Mega Backdoor Roth amount needed for tax year 2025, because again, you can open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 and utilize the tax year 2025 Mega Backdoor Roth solo 401k limits. So we would help you with that calculation. You would make that contribution directly into the voluntary after-tax solo 401k bucket. Then it would get converted to the Roth solo 401k. And then my solo 401k financial, not Fidelity Investments, will perform the Form 1099-R reporting. Fidelity Investments does not perform Form 1099 reporting for the Mega Backdoor Roth because this plan is offered by my solo 401k Financial. So we are the ones that would issue that Form 1099-R. And as long as you timely request it, we'll go ahead and issue that. So you're going to prompt us to prepare that Form 1099-R after you've converted, that is, moved the funds from the voluntary after-tax solo 401k holding account to the Roth solo 401k holding account. We have our forms tab on our website. There's a conversion form you would fill out. It takes no more than a minute, actually probably 30 seconds to complete. Once we receive that form, we're going to be prompted to issue the Form 1099-R to the IRS. To report that conversion, we'll send the copy to you via download link, and we'll file it with the government. So that's how the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy works. This slide here takes it one step further. It's an illustration of a two-participant plan. Many of our clients are married, so they both work in the same business. So as long as they both work in the same business, it's just one plan. So just that one business would sponsor the solo 401k plan, and both spouses participate in the same plan, so they each have to have separate holding accounts. And they can each perform the Mega Backdoor Roth strategy if they want. Talk about really supercharging your retirement savings between both spouses. So again, the Mega Backdoor Roth is very powerful because for tax year 2025, you can still open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 and make that overall contribution limit of $70,000. So you can treat this entire $70,000 as a voluntary after-tax contribution and then turn around and convert it to the Roth solo 401k. Now you end up with $70,000 in Roth solo 401k funds. And if both spouses are self-employed in the same business, now you're talking about times two. So $70,000 each for a total of $140,000 in conversions of voluntary after-tax funds to the Roth solo 401k. Keep in mind, you can never make catch-up contributions to the voluntary after-tax solo 401k. That's an IRS regulation. So we're going to break down the deadline for each company type, self-employed business type, with regards to the deadline for making. This slide here says voluntary after-tax contributions, but you can also make employer contributions for tax year 2025 here in 2026. And for sole proprietorships, you can even make employee contributions for tax year 2025 if you open a solo 401k plan and fund it by April 15 of 2026. But let's take a look at some more questions here, and then we'll come back and pick up where we left off. Okay, so okay, give me a moment here. So here we go, requesting. Is there a trick to joining the My Community discussion group? I have tried multiple times, filled out the form. I submit, but I don't get any confirmation of error trying to log in after it seemed nothing went through. I'll have to take a look at, let me see if I can get into our My Community here and take a look at that here. Once you join the My Community, we have to make sure we review it to make sure you can join, because we get a lot of spam. So I'm not sure. I would need to look at your username, but go ahead and send us an email. We'll take a look at that to make sure we add you to My Community so that you can post forums. Give me a moment here. So, yeah, send us an email. We'll figure a way to get you added to my community. So, at 70,000, the max contribution limit by earnings of the LLC, are you able to use non-business money to pump up to 70,000? Good question. So no, you can never make contributions to the solo 401k plan from any income besides earned income from self-employment activity. So if you want to contribute to your solo 401k plan regarding any contribution type, whether employee, employer, or voluntary after tax, those have to be based on your earned income from your self-employed business. You can't, if you don't have enough net self-employment income to justify the contribution, then you cannot contribute above the amount that you have available up to the overall limit of $70,000. So bottom line is that it takes earned income from self-employment activity in order to be able to contribute to the solo 401k. What is the easiest way to communicate with you if you're already a client? As I touched a little bit earlier, we're really busy right now due to the high December 31st season and a lot of reporting going on here in January. But we typically respond back to an email inquiry within 24 hours. You can also submit a support ticket. You can also ask your general questions here on the live webinar. You can also schedule a call. If you go to our forms tab of our website on the top right hand corner, there's a link where you can schedule calls. But those are the best ways to get in touch with us as we're emptying our inbox here from the heavy end of the year rush and then the first week of a rush. So these are all heavy times for all financial institutions. So thanks for your patience. Okay. If the solo 401k Roth plan is set up in January 2026, can employee and employer match contributions still be made for 2025? Good questions. We're going to talk about that right now. Let's transition into that. So, we're going to go over the various funding deadlines for each entity type. So if your self-employed business is taxed as an S corporation and you have not yet opened a solo 401k plan, you can open a solo 401k plan here in 2026 so that you can make certain types of contributions for tax year 2025. And those contributions are going to be voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions, as well as employer profit sharing contributions. Those can be made in 2026 for tax year 2025, as long as you open that solo 401k plan by March 15 of 2026. If you file for an 1120S business tax return extension for your S corporation, you're going to have until September 15 of 2026 to make both employer profit sharing contributions and voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025. However, you cannot make employee solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025 unless you open that plan by December 31st of 2025. So it's too late for employee contributions. If your self-employed business is taxed as a sole proprietorship, then the deadlines are a little different. If you open that solo 401k plan by April 15 of 2026, you're going to be able to make tax year 2025 contributions. That's true for employee contributions, employer profit sharing contributions, as well as voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions. If you file for a business tax return extension for your sole proprietorship, so effectively a personal Form 1040 extension, you're going to have until October 15 of 2026 to open that solo 401k plan and make tax year 2025 voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions, as well as employer profit sharing contributions, but you will not be able to make employee contributions if you wait until October 15, 2026. If your self-employed business is taxed as a partnership, the deadlines work as follows. If you want to make tax year 2025 contributions and you have not yet opened the plan, and you open the plan here in 2026 by March 15 of 2026, you're going to be able to make both employer profit sharing contributions as well as voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions if you file for an extension. So the Form 1065 return extension for that partnership, you're going to have an extra 6 months. You're going to have until September 15 of 2026 to open that solo 401k plan and make both employer profit sharing contributions and voluntary after-tax solo 401k contributions for tax year 2025, but you can now make employee contributions because the plan had to be established, adopted by December 31st of 2025 if you want to be able to make employee contributions. So with my solo 401k financial, we'll create the custom solo 401k plan. We're going to help you open up the brokerage accounts on the institutional side or retail side for those particular clients. You'll then be able to make those contributions, and we'll be here to provide the ongoing compliance support, such as Form 1099-R and 5500 easy reporting. So you would use my solo 401k financial to adopt that plan here in 2026. And then we would help you to open up those brokerage accounts on the institutional side of Fidelity Investments or Charles Schwab or Altruist, for example. Depends on which brokerage firm you clear with. Okay. So let's take a look at some more questions here. So again, please take a moment to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel to help get the word out to other solopreneurs like yourself. And you'll also receive notifications as to when we go live. We typically go live at least once a day, oftentimes twice a day. We'll be going live again here at 1 p.m. Pacific time. And you can ask your questions here over the live webinar. Here's a question here. If the solo Roth plan is set up by January 26, can employee and employer match contributions still be made for 2025? So it's too late. Unless your business is taxed as a sole proprietorship, it's too late to open a solo 401k plan in 2026 to make tax year 2025 employee contributions, whether employee Roth contributions or employee pre-tax contributions. However, you can make employer profit sharing contributions, whether employer pre-tax or employer Roth solo 401k contributions here in 2026 for tax year 2025 if you open the plan here in 2026, as I went through on those other slides there. So good question there. Let's take a look at some more questions here. So here's the questions here. Is there a dollar limit for voluntary after-tax solo 401k contribution? Yes, there is a limit. It's the overall limit for the year. So for tax year 2025, the overall limit that you can contribute to the voluntary after-tax solo 401k bucket as part of the Mega Backdoor Roth is $70,000. And you have to have enough net self-employment income from your business to be able to contribute that full $70,000. So that's the limit. For tax year 2026, the limit is $72,000. That's the maximum involuntary after-tax contributions that you can make for tax year 2026. Great question. Okay, so when you open a solo 401k with my solo 401k financial, and if you're a Fidelity institutional advisor, we're going to draft that solo 401k plan so that it has the auto contribution credit built into it. So it's a $1,500 auto contribution credit. It's a dollar for dollar credit. And the plan has to have the auto contribution feature available. Here at my solo 401k financial, we started drafting our plans with that auto contribution credit back in January 1st, 2024 and after. So we'll draft those documents with that auto contribution credit built into it. If you're an existing client, we can add that auto contribution credit to your plan if you don't have it already. And if you open the plan with my solo 401k financial prior to December 31st of 2023, then your plan can be updated to add that auto contribution credit. With these auto contribution tax credits, the cost to both open and maintain a solo 401k is effectively subsidized. The cost of having one is effectively subsidized by the government. Once we add this auto contribution credit to the plan, you're not required to make contributions in order to qualify for it. As a matter of fact, you can opt out of contributing and you can still contribute in whatever amount you want up to the overall limit for the year, as long as you have the necessary self-employment activity. In other words, you're not required to contribute in order to qualify for the auto contribution credit. And you're going to use Form 8881. You're going to file out Form 8881 a total of 3 times over a 3-year period to claim that $1,500 credit, which is going to be split in 3 and $500 increments. So $500 for 2026, $500 for 2027, and a final $500 amount for 2028. You would file Form 8881 each of those years to claim each of those $500 credits. We do have a PowerPoint slide and a video walkthrough that we can share when it's time to file that form. Okay, that's all for today's session. Thank you so much for investing your time with us. Your time is valuable, and we really appreciate you joining today's webinar. And please go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can keep spreading the word out to other solopreneurs like yourself. Until next time, have a great rest of the day.